What is going on, Crimson Tide fans? Chris Daughtry here with the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking some spring practice rumors out there for the Crimson Tide. They had their first official scrimmage of the springtime here on Thursday, so we're going to be talking about what Kalen DeBoer had to say to the media, as well as some of the insiders out there for Alabama media. Also going to be recapping that amazing Sweet 16 win for Alabama against BYU. They're going to be going to the Elite Eight yet again under Nate Oates, and man, you just cannot take this for granted. This is an absolute amazing run for this Alabama basketball team, so we're going to be talking about both of those on today's show. But make sure you guys are subscribed as well. We're going to be going live for that Elite Eight game coming up here on Saturday, so do not miss out. We're going to have our watch party here just like we have for the first 3 rounds of this tournament. We've had a whole lot of fun, so make sure you guys are subscribed. That's youtube.com/@RollTideTV. All right, first up, I just want to go in, linear order here. A couple days ago, Brody Schmoot on March 24th tweeted this out. He's a team reporter for Touchdown Alabama magazine. He said Alabama spring practice notes regarding the quarterbacks from a source close to the program. Number one, all 3 quarterbacks are good. That's one of the things that I've been saying, I think, for the last couple of weeks here. I don't think it really matters who ends up starting for Alabama. You're in pretty good hands when it comes to this quarterback room. Number 2, the job is Ty Simpson's to lose. This is also something that I've been saying as well. I think it doesn't really matter who ends up being your quarterback next year, whether it's Ty Simpson, whether it's Austin Mack or Keelon Russell. You're in a very good spot at that quarterback position. But, Ty, he has been here now going into his redshirt junior season. He's one of these guys who has been a transition piece from the Nick Saban era to now the Kalen DeBoer era. And, when it comes to Ty, the leadership aspect that we'll talk about here in just a second seems like he does have the upper hand on that. And that is definitely something to note when you're talking about this quarterback battle right now. Also, he said Keelon Russell looks like Jaden Daniels early on. That is very, very high praise. Talking about a guy, who came in as a 5-star this year for Alabama. The first quarterback, I guess, outside of Austin Mack anyways, that Kalen DeBoer recruited here to Alabama. And when you're talking about Jaden Daniels, a former Heisman winner, went absolutely off in his last year at LSU. Now he's just going off in the NFL at the Washington Commanders. That is some very, very high praise for Keelon Russell. He also said Austin Mack had a poor practice on Saturday in comparison to Ty Simpson and Keelon Russell. I wouldn't necessarily read into that too much. Look, progression is not necessarily a linear line. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. Hopefully, you can just stack more of those good days rather than some of those bad days. But look, everybody's going to have a bad day at practice. Ty Simpson's going to have a bad day. Keelon Russell's going to have a bad day as well. So, look, it's just about moving forward, just building on what you have been doing so far in your time here at Alabama. So, just because you have one poor practice doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. I think Austin Mack is going to be good no matter when he starts for Alabama, whether that's this year or whether that's next year. I got a lot of faith in Austin Mack. Brody Schmoot also put this out 2 days later on March 26th, said per sources close to the program, Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson has been voted to the leadership council of this team. He's battling for the starting quarterback position, and this is a huge step in the right direction for the former 5-star. I definitely agree that, that is a positive direction in the positive step in the right direction for Ty Simpson in terms of being the starting quarterback for Alabama. You talk about, Jalen Milroe versus Ty Simpson. The past couple of years, both Nick Saban and Kalen DeBoer said Jalen Milroe just had that edge over Ty Simpson in terms of the leadership department there. So when you're voted to the leadership council, that is a very, very notable thing there. Don't necessarily know if I like that they go out there and they vote, the leadership council before the season, because that kind of leaves you in a spot. What happens during the season if Ty Simpson, has a couple of bad games, like really bad games? Are you going to vote or are you going to put your team captain on the bench? I don't necessarily know, but, a positive sign in the right direction there for Ty Simpson being voted to the leadership council. Now, Kalen DeBoer talked to Alabama media yesterday as well. Like I said, they had their first scrimmage of the game. Alabama ran 115 plays on their during their scrimmage on Thursday. 15 plays with the threes and both 50 plays with the ones and the twos combined there. He also noted that Alabama will scrimmage again on Friday, so we'll keep an update on that as well, coming up next Friday anyways. And he also gave an update on Alabama's A-Day and kind of what it would look like as well, saying that it's going to be an hour-and-a-half practice, about an hour-and-a-half starting at about noon Eastern time. So I know there's a lot of people out there that are very disappointed that Alabama's A-Day isn't necessarily going to be the same thing as it has been in the past. And Kalen DeBoer also said that it wasn't because of, the risk of guys hitting the transfer portal or anything like that, which is kind of backtracking what he said a couple of weeks ago when he said that kind of was the key thing. But, it is what it is. He said a lot of guys are kind of banged up right now, got some soft tissues injuries there for some of those guys. So whether it is that or the transfer portal, don't really know, but Alabama's just going to end up going through, just a regular practice, about an hour and 15 minutes for that. So let me know here at the pinned comment of today's video. Are you guys going to A-Day? Let me know. Type me if you are in the comment section for me right now. It's the pinned comment of today's video. So if that ad comes here on YouTube, that is totally fine. Let me know how you guys feel. Are you going to A-Day? Type me if you are. All right, Kalen DeBoer was asked specifically about the quarterbacks. Of course he was, and this is kind of the coach speak answer that he gave. He said, I thought today, as far as just accuracy, there was maybe 2 balls. One was a really short pass that you really want to see completed, and then one was an opportunity for an explosive play that we missed. Otherwise, I would probably guess that we were somewhat where we want to be percentage-wise. I don't know. 50 or 60, 65%, somewhere between the three of them. All of them are getting their opportunities to lead with different groups, ones and twos in particular. I thought they handled the checks and things as far as managing the game. That's a lot of it. And then, going out there and just making plays. So I feel like they were more comfortable today. And I think a lot of it is, you put a specific set of calls that they feel good with so you can have a successful scrimmage. And I think the offensive staff did that for them. Look, I think we should be really excited about this team going forward into next season. No matter who you want to win the job at quarterback, Alabama has 3 really good options going into next season. The competition that you have right there right now is just a good thing at the end of the day. Everybody is just pushing each other to be the best player that they can be. And that's what Alabama's all about, right? It's just that iron sharpens iron mentality. And remember, progression is not a linear line. You can have good days, you can have bad days. It's kind of like having Microsoft stock. You know in the long run it's going to go up, but some days you have dips and you're just going to have to live with that. You got to buy the dip. Look, Austin Mack, had a really good practice a couple weeks ago, according to On3's Pete Nakos. But then, according to Brody Schmoot, like we talked about here just a minute ago, he didn't have a good practice, this past week. So, you got to lock in. You got to learn from your mistakes. And you got to try to just be better at the end of the day. Overall, this roster as a whole should really excite Alabama fans. There's a lot of guys returning on both sides of the ball, and I think the receiver room is going to be a whole lot better than it was last year. Kalen DeBoer noted that in his press conference yesterday. This cornerback room has got a lot of returning players as well. I think they're going to be even better than they were last year, which look, going into last season, I think a lot of us were worried about the corners and just this defensive back room in general for Alabama. But, look, they had a really good season last year, and you got most of those guys outside Devontae Smith returning for you. Defensive line, we'll kind of see on that, but I really do like the starters that you have there right now. The linebacker room, a lot of those guys are veterans right now in that room. And look, the running backs, they've been very promising as well. Kalen DeBoer talked about the fact that the running backs have looked very good for Alabama. So I can't wait for next season. I finished that Alabama documentary on Wednesday night, and it just got me super fired up. So, I just cannot wait to see what Alabama can bring to the table next year, because I think they have a very, very good team, no matter who you have at that starting quarterback position. Before we recap Alabama's Sweet 16 win over BYU, first want to give a shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. You guys can get up to 30% off on Alabama hoodies right now just by going to chatsports.com/Bama hoodies. I absolutely love this camo one right here. They've got a lot of really good deals right now over on that Fanatics website. They've got hoodies, they've got crew necks, they've got quarter zips. They've got every single thing that you guys could need for Alabama gear, getting ready for A-Day and getting ready for the season next year as well. So just go over to chatsports.com/Bama hoodies, and you guys can get up to 30% off on Alabama gear today. All right, next up, I want to break down Alabama's Sweet 16 win here over BYU. They end up winning this one 113-88, and they absolutely shot the lights out last night. Look, man, Mark Sears absolutely went off in this game. He absolutely had some key role players step up for Alabama basketball as well. And a crazy stat that is crazy, but it is absolutely true. If Alabama didn't make a single two-point shot versus BYU, they still would have won the game. I think the math for that, you had 75 points in three-point shots, and you also had 18 points from the free throw line, 93 points in total. You still would have beat BYU in this game, and it all falls on the shoulders of Mark Sears in this game, man. This kid went absolutely insane. He was in a bit of a three-point shooting slump coming in to this game. The last 5 games, he was like 3 for 25 from the three-point line, ends up getting 10 three-point shots in this game and ended up with 34 points. He had 34 points in the entire tournament so far. So Mark Sears, just what an incredible job for him. Also did a very good job getting other players involved as well. He had 8 assists in this game for Alabama as well. Man, Mark Sears really caught fire for Alabama in this ball game. A lot of players really stepped up for Alabama. You also had Aiden Holloway. He went 3 for 4 from 3. 23 points in total for him. Chris Youngblood, 19 points in this game as well. He hit 5 threes. So, man, Alabama basketball getting hot, getting right when it matters, going into their Elite Eight matchup. So let me know here in the comments section, will Alabama make it to the Final Four? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I don't know. I'm filming this actually on Thursday evening after Alabama's game, so don't necessarily know if it's going to be Duke or Arizona yet, but if you think Alabama can make it to the Final Four, let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no in the comments section of today's show. Couple quick takeaways from this game for me here. First up here, look, Alabama set a tournament record for threes made in this ball game. They ended up hitting 25 three-pointers in this game. I believe the record going into that was 21 three-pointers. So, like I said a minute ago, Alabama getting hot in the right time. One negative, though, I think the turnovers are still a little bit too high for Alabama. They had 13 turnovers in this ball game. That was still more than BYU. They had 11. When you're going up against those teams, whether it's Arizona or Duke at the end of the day, you cannot be turning the ball over as much as Alabama has in the first 3 rounds of this tournament. Your role players absolutely cooked in this game too. Obviously, we talked about Mark Sears. He had 34 points in this game, but Chris Youngblood with 19. Clifford Amore had 10. Aiden Holloway with 23 as well. Aiden Sherrell also had 8 points in this game. So your role players, whether it's guys coming off the bench or just, they could be starters, but not necessarily guys that are your key players. Man, they really stepped up and they played absolutely out of their mind. And then, man, Mark Sears absolutely broke out in this game. If you were watching our watch party as well, I said during our pregame show going into that game against BYU, look, when Mark Sears gets out of this slump that he is in right now, he's not going to hit 3. He's not going to hit 4 threes. He's going to hit 7 or 8. Well, Mark Sears goes out there and he ends up hitting 10 for 16 from 3 in this game. So if Alabama could just keep this momentum going on, I think they have a very good shot of going to the Final Four.